Welcome back to Maths in an Empty Classroom with me, Mr. Southern. This is part 2 of the lesson on reciprocal trig functions, and in this lesson I'm going to be taking you through an example of how to solve an equation with a reciprocal trig function. So here we go. We have solved the equation sec theta plus 20 equals negative 3 over 2 between 0 and 360 degrees. Now what's the first thing you do when you're looking at a trig equation? You look at what the limits are, whether it's degrees or radians, and you make sure that your calculator is in the right mode. So because we're solving for degrees, you need to get your calculator in degrees mode before you do anything else. Now we'll deal with the fact that this is a sec equation. It's one of the reciprocal trig functions. Now you'll remember from the previous video that sec is 1 over cos. So I'm going to write cos of theta plus 20. Because that bracket doesn't change, I've just taken the reciprocal, so whatever's inside that bracket just stays the same. And negative 3 over 2 is going to change to negative 2 over 3. And that's now a standard trig equation that we can solve. So we now know that theta plus 20 is going to equal cos inverse of negative 2/3. So I need to inverse cos on my calculator to find the principal solution. So shift cos negative 2 over 3, which comes out as 131.81. So that is the first one that's come out of my calculator. That is what is known as the principal solution. Principal meaning first. Okay. So next thing I need to do, I need to draw up my cast diagram so I can get my other solutions. So, cast diagram here, I'm going 0, 90, 180, 270, 360, A, S, T, C. And I draw my first line for the principal solution, 131.8 degrees. Now working anti-clockwise round from 0, that's going to go past 90. So it's going to go here, and that angle there is 131.81, and it's in the sine quadrant. Now, I need to think, the value of cos is a negative number, which means I don't want the all, I want the sine, I want the tan, and I don't want the cos. So I want the two quadrants on my cast diagram where cos is negative, which is S and T. So I'm going to draw another line here, which is the reflection of this one, which means that this angle here is 131.81. However, to get that angle that I want, I need to measure anti-clockwise from the origin round. So I need to be doing 360 minus 131.81. So just have my calculator now, 360 minus my answer. And that comes out as 228.18. Those are my two solutions. Now, I just need to remember that they're not theta, they're theta plus 20 because of this original bracket. So what I've worked out is that theta plus 20 is equal to 131.81, and the second solution 221.18. And I always get all the solutions off my cast diagram before I start adjusting for anything else that's going on in these brackets. So all I've got to do to get theta, because it's theta plus 20, is just to subtract 20 from each of these two values. So that would give me 111.8 and 208.2. Both those answers are to one decimal place. So there we have the two solutions for the equation sec theta plus 20 equals negative 3 over 2 between 0 and 360 degrees. Job done.